I'm the itinerant voice actor Carl Bishop for Wise Brother Media. Today I'm talking to comedian Yakov Smirnoff, who, as you may know, with What a Country. Well, you can say the line better than me. Why don't you do it?
What a country.
There you go. Right on. As you heard many times in the 80s during that show, your comedy is based on like your ignorance and innocence of the culture and your fascination with, this blizzard of consumerism in the United States. And you were just from Russia, and the Cold War was hot and heavy at the time. After the Cold War ended, that ended for you, that bit. And so what did you do next after the act was no longer, that people didn't want to book you?
It wasn't relevant. What happened is David Letterman had a top 10 list of things that will now change that the Soviet Union collapsed. And I made number one on the list. Yakov Smirnoff will be out of work. And I thought it was kind of funny, but it wasn't funny to me 6 months later, because the mortgage was still the same and the income was totally not. And so I realized that the American dream can turn into a nightmare very quickly. But I started to look for a place where people did not know that the Soviet Union collapsed. And I ended up in Branson, Missouri, and started, bought a theater. Rented, because I didn't have much money at that time. Rented the theater, started performing there, and now I have performed there over 20 years and entertained over 4.5 million people.
That's great.
So the dream is still alive. I can't complain. Now I live in Malibu, and Missouri pays for Malibu. What a country.
And you fly, and you fly back and forth, and life is good. That's excellent.
That's right.
You had to retool your comedy. You went back to school, and you got a degree in psychology, a master's in psychology.
That's correct.
Then you kind of turned into a funny relationship counselor. You said there's no longer a Cold War in the world, but there's a Cold War in the bedroom.
That's correct. And it was, Cold War was happening in the war room in a way and so Reagan and Gorbachev changed the world by creating a lot of laughter. And I started researching that because I was very much at that time involved in this. The White House was relying on my jokes to make this whole thing work. I didn't realize how significant it was.
Were you writing for Reagan? You were writing jokes?
Yes, I was, and they were. Wow. It was like a consistent questioning. It's like, do you have any more jokes? Can we put some more? And then at some point it transitioned. The first speech that Ronald Reagan had to do in Soviet Union, they said, "Would you mind looking over the speech?" And I was a little nervous, but I did, and I said, "I don't think it's the right tone." And they said, "Well, would you mind rewriting the speech?" And I'm thinking, if this doesn't work, I don't have any countries to go to, So, but I did. And they liked it, and they kept the changes and they kept the jokes, and then that kind of shifted the world to become a better place because Reagan and Gorbachev got along.
Yeah, you're responsible for the turning of world history. You're involved in it. That's incredible.
I'm not taking full responsibility one way or another. I'd say.
Well, comedy is very effective diplomacy, apparently.
I think it is, and that's, if you think of jesters, they were the ones who were able to bring the news to the pharaohs and the kings and not be beheaded because they knew how to do it with humor.
Yeah. You're very much a self-made man. Well, actually, I believe people are helped by people along the way. No one is entirely self-made.
Correct.
But you made yourself a big success in this country, coming to the United States with just $100 with you and your parents. And the American dream is big on everyone's mind right now because it has been under attack for the last 30 years by certain forces that a lot of voters think they have no control over. So in this past election, which was very contentious, a lot of people didn't vote. Almost half the country didn't show up for whatever reason. You want to start a conversation regarding this, and what is your angle on it?
Well, my conversation is this. I'm a living example of somebody who comes to this country with no money, no language. I mean, I was literally watching TV to learn the language when I arrived here. And then after 3 months, realized it was a Spanish station. And so I had to start all over again, right? I was working as a bar boy for $1.20 an hour plus tips. Literally, this is a very, it wasn't that long ago, right?
Right.
So then I'm able to learn the language, to become successful entertainer, which in a country where it doesn't, seem like, how can you do that? Well, I work hard.
Yeah.
How.
But Yakov, not everyone is as talented or driven as you, and they'll never be, and they're not as smart. I mean, they're just not. They just don't have it. And you meet them all the time, and they're good people, and everyone has different levels of intelligence. How do we take care of those people? How do those people make a good living? How do we make it all work? Because you gotta, you can't have a society that's so unequal,
I'm with you. But what I'm saying is that the opportunity for a guy who doesn't speak the language, and what I'm saying is the opportunity was still there. And the challenge is that we don't believe. If we believe that the American dream is dead, then why are you coming here? What are you doing here?
So what about immigration? That's a very important issue for you, obviously.
Yes, and I think immigration should continue to, because America needs that new blood of people who are like myself, who are willing to take no for an answer, to work whatever many of hours and learn, and that's the challenge. If you are not if you don't have that new flow of that energy, it's just screening out the people who are not healthy for this country. I think is a good idea, but encouraging the people who are coming here legally and willing to work hard is what that new blood supply that America needs.
And certainly now, we certainly need more funny people like you, funny, creative people. in these what a lot of people see as dark times. But we'll see about that on January 20th and what happens. So
yeah, but I think that, again, if we give it the chance, if we give America, in my opinion, the voting is what I think makes this country amazing. And by people not showing up to vote, they're making it really a handicap.
Yeah.
And I think that's sad.
No voice is no voice. No comment is no comment.
And in my country, where I grew up, there was mandatory voting, so 100% turnout, right? But there was only one person on the ballot.
Still.
So it's still the same thing.
Yeah.
So Putin is going to be done when he wants to be done.
Right. So Russian people must have an incredible sense of cynicism, and as we both know that a lot of good comedy can come from that. So
right. However, when you control propaganda machine, they really show support, and it seems to most of people, simple people, that's what they like. And Putin is capable. He doesn't know to call himself president or prime minister because he doesn't know how to pronounce dictator. That's why, and so, but they believe in him. They believe in that policy because that's the only thing. When I was growing up, 2 channels on TV. Channel 1 is propaganda. Channel 2, KGB officer tells you, turn back to Channel 1.
Oh, man.
So,
yeah.
And that was normal.
Yakov Smirnoff, thank you so much for the conversation today. It was great.
My pleasure. Thank you. This was a great topic to discuss.
Yeah, for sure. And, we need to recognize that we have been successfully divided and put into 2 camps of liberal and conservative with those labels. Yes. And we're all Americans. And we're all working for the same goal. We need to realize that again. And I think this is a helpful conversation to have.
Absolutely. I think your take on it was very important to me as well. So I appreciate that.
You're very welcome. It was great to have the conversation. All right. Thanks. Thanks, Yakov.
All right.
Talk to you soon.
You
Bye.
bet. Bye-bye.
Well, that's it. Another episode of The Itinerant Voice Actor with me, Carl Bishop. Special thanks to Johnny and Robert at Wise Brother Media, celebrity booker Paul Adamo, my partner in crime David Levin at Brainstorm Inc., and the super talented Noel Honig at the Drawing Room NYC, who created the logo for us. More episodes of Itinerant Voice Actor coming soon. Thanks for listening.